Good morning, Flosstube. I'm Misty Purcell. Welcome to my channel. Today is Monday, May 18th, and if you've been here before, thanks for coming back, and if you're new here, thanks for visiting me. I am a cross-stitch designer, and I'm also a fabric dyer. I think about 3 times more with it today than I was last Monday, so I think this will be a better video. Okay, let's see. My video cut off last time like 4 minutes early because it apparently decided that the last 4 minutes weren't interesting. Basically what happens is that sometimes, and there's going to be ambient noise today, sometimes my iMovie program will export the video and it will show that the full video is there, but if I actually go through and watch it, the video will get stuck at some point. And I learned that way early on because I used to export my videos directly to YouTube, and I don't know if it was video 5 or 7, I had to do like 2 parts because that happened. So I stopped exporting directly to YouTube and started exporting to my computer and then uploading to YouTube. And then what I have to do is go in and click on various points in the video to make sure that it's still playing. And what happened is I did that as always, and I probably checked like 5 minutes to the end or 6 minutes to the end, but I didn't check 4 minutes to the end. So now I know that I have to go to the very bloody end and make sure that it's running, because I didn't realize until I'd uploaded it completely, which takes a couple of hours plus the time that I had to process. So, you know, it's already like 2.5 hours invested in making this video get uploaded plus the time to make it. Anyway, I'd uploaded it. Just as it published, I realized that it was missing 4 minutes, and I'm like, well, oh well, gotta move on. But I'll watch for that. So that's what happened. It wasn't worth making another video for 4 minutes. I don't even remember what I said. It probably wasn't that important though. Thanks for your comments on my last video. I've been enjoying reading them, and I've finally been catching up with them. Some of them get sent to my email and some of them don't, so I just check comments on the actual YouTube video, and that way I make sure I see everyone's. Wanted to do a shout out today. Monica, she's Monica Stitching. I've been following her on Instagram for quite a long time, and she apparently had been making Flosstube videos at one point. I don't think I was watching at that time, but she's started making videos again. And her channel is Monica Stitching, and I really encourage you to check it out. She does a lot of over 1 really cute tiny stitching. And she offered, and I tell her that she offered to do like a Halloween ornament parade, and I was like, please, you would make my day if you did a Halloween ornament parade. So fingers crossed, you go tell her that she should do that. So I'll link her channel below. Really enjoyed watching her video. She said she's going to keep them short. Sometimes hard to do, but I will enjoy the video, whether it is 15 minutes or 55 minutes. It's a coffee kind of day. It's pretty early in the morning here. You might hear some construction noise because promptly at 8 a.m. So I live in a townhouse part of the city where they're just like townhouses in the whole neighborhood. And my townhouse, the back of it faces the parking lot of another set of townhouses. And promptly at 8 a.m. a trailer pulled in and a bunch of Amish gentlemen got off, and they are working on the houses behind my house, doing some roof work, or maybe no, they're doing siding work. Anyway, you might hear some noise because the trailer is literally like 30 feet away from me, right out my window. Okay, so one thing that I forgot to mention last time, that's just kind of a point of amusement. I was mentioning my new design, Liberty Quaker, which is right there. Which, by the way, I'll be having a shop update later this week, and that will be available for purchase from me along with the floss and the fabric. If you're on my newsletter email list, you will get a notification when everything is in my shop. And if you're not on my newsletter mailing list but you'd like to be added, then you can either email me or I always link the newsletter below the video in the description. Anyway, let me just say, last week I forgot to mention that there's an unofficial title to this design. So when I had finished stitching it, I was showing it to my boyfriend, or maybe it was almost done, and he's like, so what are you planning to call that? And I said, oh, I'm going to call it Liberty Quaker. And he said, "Oh, not Nuts About America?" So the unofficial subtitle, I guess, is Nuts About America. And on the back of the pattern, in parentheses, under the title Liberty Quaker, it says Nuts About America. And that is why. Because my boyfriend is a joker. Okay, so that was that story. Moving on to the next thing. I had a new start. Actually, after I made last week Monday's, video where I was just kind of a disaster, I was like, I need a new start. We talked about that. Everyone encouraged me to start something new for the finishing of the Away We Ride border. Start something new, have pie and wine. I decided to just start something new right away, but maybe I will also do something special then when I finish the acorn border to celebrate. But I had a new start. It's at the bottom of the pile. Oops, sorry about that. And I started this, which has been in my stash with the floss kitted for a couple of years. This is called Beggar's Fourth. It's by Threadwork Primitives. I think Nan Lewis is a really good designer. I love her stuff. So, I had been debating what fabric to stitch this on. I've been wanting to try 56 count, but I wasn't sure. Should I do 56 count? I've never done it before. Or should I go with a little bit, like when I've been dyeing the 56 count in Sparrow and it dyes up lighter. So I was like, should I do a different, like maybe 40 count so that it's a bit darker or what? Anyway, I just felt like it's time to try the 56. So I just wanted to see if I could do it and what would happen and if I liked it. And so that's what I did. And I'll tell you that at first I hated it. But I did make progress. And now I'm really enjoying it. So what happened is I forgot my own rule. And the rule is, here you can see a little bit better. So this is 56 count Sparrow, stitched with 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. It's very tiny. Whoops. It's very tiny. And so this is my first time doing 56. I'm doing it in hand. That way I can hold it up really close to my face if I need to. I forgot that my own rule is that it takes a while to adjust to something. And so I started stitching, and because Monday was going so well, I almost immediately made a counting mistake. And then when I tried to rip it out, it was just not coming out. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This isn't fun. And so then I was like, okay, do I start over on 40 count, which I always enjoy stitching on, or do I try again? And I decided to sleep on it. So I had maybe just a little bit of this done here on the edge, and I slept on it, and I woke up and I was convinced that I wasn't going to enjoy the 56 count, but there was this part of me that was just really stubborn and was like, you got to try again. And then if it's not enjoyable after you've given it a second try, then you should stop. So the stubborn part of me won out, luckily, because I did actually I started over. I ripped out, I cut a lot of threads, I pulled everything out, and I calmed the heck down, and I started again. And then I really got into it, and then my eyes adjusted, which is what I forgot. Like, you need some time for your eyes to adjust. It is a little different than stitching over 1, but it's very similar in size. Can these both fit? I mean, they're both tiny. I guess you probably can't tell that well, but they're just tiny. But it's a little bit of a different experience. I haven't done enough of both to tell you which one I prefer yet, but I'll let you know once I've done a little more. So one of the things I'm really enjoying about this, other than the fact that it's the 56 count and I like it, one of the things I'm enjoying about it is this blue, which is, I changed the blue. Let's see, what's the charted blue? It's Freedom by Gentle Art, but I went with Presidential Blue, which is now my new soulmate, because I picked it out years ago, but I've never used it, and man, it's beautiful. So I'm loving the Presidential Blue. So I changed the blue and the red and the cream. So the only thing that I'm going to keep the same is the black coffee for the bird. And the red the red that I am using, I ended up changing it once because the red I had originally chosen was a little bit brighter. I think I had Turkish red, which I love normally, but or else it was Louisiana hot sauce by Weeks. I don't know. Anyway, I switched to licorice red just to go a little bit pinker. And then my cream color is Weeks Dye Works Angel Hair. So I really enjoyed that. So I stitched on that a lot on Monday. And I'm having a good time. So, you know, it's good to try things that are new to you. You just have to remember, as do I, that you gotta give yourself an adjustment period. I don't know, you know, people will say that it's brave of me to do that, and I don't know that it's really brave. It's just, I wanted to see if I could do it. And what was the worst that was gonna happen if I failed to do it on 56 was just that, okay, well, you know, maybe I throw away that little piece of fabric, or I cut that little part out, or whatever. So you can always just try something, but try it on a small scale with a small project. Not that this was especially small, but whatever. Anyway, you get my point. You can start something small to try a fabric to see if you like it. Give yourself a couple hours with it and see if you like it or not. Not going to lose a lot by doing that. It's not about bravery, in my opinion. It's just a curiosity. Curiosity more than bravery. Okay, so that was my new start. Whips. I worked on a few whips. So let's start with this, which I just showed. Actually, let's move some things out of the way so I don't get confused. So Star Spangled Spectacular I worked on, and this week instead of doing like an hour per project, I just did that if I was kind of bored with it, but otherwise I worked on it until I felt like I got to a point where I want to stop. This is by With Thy Needle and Thread. I am stitching this one strand of floss over one fabric thread on 27 count Linda. And so this time I filled in the urn and I finished the leaves down here. I will say that I think that my green, this darker green, is not the right color, but I'm not going to go back and change it. I think I should have gone with a little bit more of an olive or green, a little bit more yellowy green. It just seems like it's a bit much. I think it's working, it's fine. It's just maybe a little bit too bright for me, even for me. I don't know. So that's my only observation of what I would do differently, but it's super cute and I love how it's coming out. So this is all stitched in DMC. I did a conversion. Really enjoying this one. I think this will be finished this summer, but I don't think it'll be fully finished this summer because I'll probably, by the time this gets done, I don't know. Well, I don't know when it'll get done, but I don't know that I'll feel like fully finishing it. Okay. Button Up. Got back to Button Up. I did only give it an hour because I was only kind of feeling it, but I do feel like summer's a better time to stitch it for me than winter. I'm working on this block here. This was part of the Button Up Stitch Along that started December 25th of 2018 with Helen D and Amy from Amy Loves Toads. And so I just kind of worked my way down and worked on the tree. And then I screwed this block up, so I wasn't sure if I needed another row, and it looks like I do need another row here of snow to line up with that. So I'm feeling okay about this. It's going fine. I just kind of want it to be finished, but I'm trying to not rush that. I'm just going to plod along with my hour at a time and see how it goes. This is most of the called for threads, maybe all of them, stitch 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads on 32 count Snow Day. Last whip that I worked on, sort of, the Bee Skep from Agnes Platt's Strawberry Sampler. This is my birthday start from this year. And I just put in an hour on this one. and I stitched a little bit of the roof. It's so pretty. This is stitched on 40 count macchiato, and I'm using all of the called for threads except this was supposed to be blended threads, but since I'm using one strand of floss, I just picked a weak Styleworks floss that it kind of looked like the picture. Love this one. So I didn't make a lot of progress on my whips this week because I'm working on stitching a couple of my own models and I got so into them that I couldn't put them down, which is a really good problem to have. And one I did have to put down because I ran out of floss and had to reorder more, so I had no choice. And the other one, if you've been following me on Instagram, I've been posting some floss photos. So one of them has some kind of summery beachy colors, and that one is not a beach design, but there are elements. Anyway, that one I have not been able to put down. And I just, yesterday, all I wanted to do was stitch on it. And so I made a deal with myself that if I worked on an hour for this kind of project and an hour for that kind of project, like just work things I needed to get done, then I could stitch the rest of the day. So that's what I did. That one is one I'm planning to release later this summer, and I'm very excited about it. So I was having trouble putting stuff down to work on my whips because I was having such a good time. Okay, I had a finish, so I did work on this. We had a Zoom professional development thing that I opted to attend, and during much of it I was able to just stitch and listen. So I worked on this. I was estimating I needed about an hour and a half or so, 1 to 2 hours left to finish this, and that was about what it took. So this is Yield Crow Sampler by Heart and Hand. And I finished it. This is stitched on 46 count Opulence using Week Styleworks Peacoat. And I decided to leave off the buttons just because I don't feel like putting them on. I'm not opposed to buttons, and I think they're a great idea, but I was just like, eh. My 2020, I guess the way I stitched it, I kind of ran into my Smyrna there, but whatever. It's fine. I didn't stitch the 2020 exactly as charted. I just repeated what was already there, but I liked it that way. So I'm very pleased. This, I think, will get finished this summer. Fully finished, I mean. So let's talk about a fully finished object that I have and kind of that idea. Back when I read blogs a lot and when people blogged more on blogs rather than on video, I used to read a blog called Crazy Mom Quilts. And she used to have this thing called Finish It Up Friday. And on Fridays, she would do a post and then she would invite people to link up their Instagram or their blog post where they were working on finishing up a project. And it wasn't like that you had to finish it that day or you didn't qualify. It was just that you were trying to finish something. And so I've been thinking about this on and off for a while and decided that to the extent that I'm able, I would like to go back to doing that because I did participate a little bit at the time. She's not doing that anymore. She's not blogging and she's kind of retired from quilt designing, I think. But you can look her up. She's Crazy Mom Quilts and you can look at old blog posts. Anyway, I devoted Friday to fully finishing a piece. And so I pulled out, I have like a pretty good little stack now of finished stitched pieces that I want to fully finish. I decided to go with the patriotic ones first and try to finish those. And then I'll move on to fall, and then I've got some winter ones. So I have 3 that are finished. I had Freedom Crow, Where Liberty Dwells, and Strawberry something or other. It's one of the ones that's in my Etsy shop, but I'll be finishing it soon, I hope. So you'll see it again, know what I'm talking about. So I stitched this last year, and this is what I fully finished on Friday. So this is Freedom Crow. This is by Shelly Auen, I think is how you pronounce her last name. She's PrimitiveStitchin on Etsy. I think this is one of the first times I tried stitching in hand with the sewing method. This is on 36 count, and I was using DMC. I changed the red and the blue. Her version is more prim. She has you like darken up the fabric. But I just went with macchiato and I didn't darken up the fabric. So she has it finished just as a pillow, and I didn't know how I wanted to finish it. I didn't know if I wanted it flat, if I wanted it like flat and an ornament, flat standing up, pillow finish, small. I didn't know what I wanted. So Friday I pulled out the 3 things that I was considering. I started pulling fabrics and trims and just seeing what did I have that might work. I've had this fabric, I think it's a Civil War reproduction, in my stash for forever. I love it. I keep thinking about it for something patriotic. It's just never worked before, but I thought I could maybe make it work with this. And then I just kind of sat there thinking about how I could do this. And I waited and contemplated, and eventually I figured out that this ribbon would work. And initially I had the idea that the ribbon was going to go here. And then I just decided that wasn't going to work. So once I decided that I was going to use this fabric, I sewed it to the stitched piece. And then I was kind of playing around with positioning the ribbon for where I thought it would go. Ultimately, I decided to put it over the seam, and I used a little bit of glue stick glue to kind of baste it in place on the edges before I sewed the front and back together, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to stitch this down or not. And I had thought about doing some kind of decorative embroidery stitch, but I'm really not good at doing that evenly without some kind of marking. And I just thought, I gotta figure out something else. So then I considered doing a bow, and I was playing around with buttons and ultimately just kind of positioning things before sewing them down or doing anything. I was able to kind of come up with this finish of the combination of the 2. So it was a process. I didn't walk in knowing what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to finish it that day, but I just kind of let myself think about it and figure it out. This is Rusty Gate from Lady Creates. And these are some vintage mother of pearl buttons that I had in my stash. To sew them on, and I did sew them on, I just kind of knotted them. You'll see where, because I was kind of sloppy about it. There's little dots right there. That's where I knotted, and I just pulled through, sewed the button on, went back a couple of times and knotted off. And I thought, if this bothers me later, you can see right there. If it bothers me later, I could always just like stitch something down or glue something down or whatever that's like a little patch to cover it up with my initials or whatever. I wasn't that worried about it. It's not like this is going to market or something. It's not my design. It's just for fun. I think my corners look pretty good. So I'm like thrilled with how this turned out. I was torn when I went in to pick something to finish. I was like, I don't want to finish any of these. I want someone else to do it for me. But while that would be great, it's good for me to practice finishing things and helps me be creative and thinking about ways to finish things. So it was good that I did it, even though I was resistant to doing it. I'll link this design below in case you're interested. It's a pretty quick stitch. I stitched this last May. I finished it within about a week or so. Probably I wasn't working on it consistently, but I'm thrilled to have that done. Okay. I have a few haul things. I think you're really gonna like them. I was looking around on Etsy. I've been like in the mood for buying some needle minders lately, and I came across this, and well, cha-ching. This is by A Needle Runs Through It. It's listed with like, I think there's also a llama and this kitty. So stinking cute. Okay, so I got that. Another thing I got, sorry if I bumped you again, is this halo charger. So if you've been watching Fiber Talk, Gary and Vanna have been talking about this. And you can do like USB. You can apparently charge your car. Like if your battery dies, you can give your car a jump. You can run a craft light off of it. So they were talking about using it for retreats and things. And I had been considering getting it, but was trying to tell myself I didn't need it. And then here the power rarely goes out. Maybe where I live it goes out once every 2 years. And then we go into quarantine, and the power goes out, and then it goes out again within like a month. And I about lost it because it's like you feel isolated, your life already feels messed up, and then you don't have electricity. So one time it was in the evening, and I was able to kind of keep working around it, but my devices weren't charged because I've been using them all day. And The other time it was like I woke up in the morning and the power was out. So I was really cranky because I couldn't have coffee and I couldn't stitch because I couldn't see. And luckily I was able to, at least my computer was charged so I could design and see what was on my computer. So that's what I did. But it just made me very cranky both times. And I was like, okay, I had a lot of like birthday gift cards and some rewards points. And I was like, let's just do this. So that's what I did. And it's all charged up and I'm ready to go. So that was something I purchased on Amazon. And then my other haul thing I'll show you are some silks that I got. These are Belle Soie. I am designing a series using a single color for each design of Belle Soie. So there's candidates for one design, another design, and another design. I'm missing a couple of colors that still need to come. This one's definitely happening. And then we'll see once the other colors come what I choose. But oh, they're so soft. So this is Old Crow. This is Noir. Sorry, I just butchered that, but you know, I speak Spanish, not French. Maiden Voyage, what a cool name. Chester's Blue. It's a gray blue, kind of moody. Beanstalk. Fern Frond. Kind of a fun thing to say, Fern Frond. And what do we got? Evergreen. So those are waiting to happen. I'm doing lots of designing. Okay. Last thing is just to mention that I have a lot of width dye needle and thread charts coming. I think they should be getting here today. So either later today or tomorrow, you should find those in my shop. All right, that's it. That's all I got for today. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope that you're well. I hope that you're getting lots of stitching in, and I will see you next week. Take care.